At the State Board of Education's meeting next week, half of the board will be new, as Governor Pence and top lawmakers capitalized on a new law that lets them reconstitute the board. To explain who the new members are and what this means for education policy in the state, Claire McInerney of our State Impact team joins us. Claire, let's start off first about who is leaving the State Board and then who's coming in to replace them.
Sure. So 5 people were not reappointed, and those people are Brad Oliver, Dan Elsner, Andrea Neal, Troy Albert, and Tony Walker. And they're being replaced by Eddie Melton, who is a businessman up in Maryville, Vince Bertram, who's the CEO of Project Lead the Way, which creates math and science curriculum for schools, Leanne Kwiatkowski, who's an assistant superintendent in Warren Township Schools in Indianapolis, Steve Yeager, a recently retired superintendent from Fort Wayne, and Byron Ernest, who is the head of a network of charter schools. I think it's interesting to know that with this new board and the new appointments, there are more people that work in schools or closely with students every day than the previous board. There were people who worked at colleges or as attorneys, and so they didn't necessarily interact with students and teachers directly, but this new board has more people that do.
Now, I think what's on everybody's mind is that we all know that there's been some tension between Glenda Ritz and at least the previous board members. Do you think some of these new board members are going to help ease that and get things done?
I think everybody's hoping that. It was the intention of Governor Pence and the legislature when they wrote this law. And Governor Pence said this week when he made his appointments that he hopes it's a fresh start. I talked to a lot of the new members, and they are sharing that sentiment. But I think something really important to know is that 2 of the most vocal opponents of Glenda Ritz, who really caused a lot of the long discussions and things like that, were Brad Oliver and Dan Elsner, and they're not returning. So we might see more cordial relations. But the new members are all saying they're hoping they can focus on education policy and not repeat the past. I did talk to Vince Bertram, who's one of the new members, and here's him talking a little bit about that.
Well, I think with any group, there are certain dynamics that play. And, you know, I tend to look at that and as a past tense, right? That's something that happened, and we're all aware of it. We read about it, we all lived it, but today's a new opportunity.
Something important, though, is a lot of the fighting and disagreements and arguments over miscommunication didn't just come from board members or people attacking Ritz. A lot of times it was miscommunications with their 2 staffs. So even though we have fresh faces and people who don't have this, baggage and history of drama on the board, we might need to see better communication between everyone involved rather than just adding some new people.
And we just have a few more seconds. What are some of those issues going to be that they're going to hop into right away when they get going?
Overseeing the creation of the new I-STEP, figuring out what to do with turnaround schools and how districts can improve those failing schools, and figuring out how charter schools will be able to use new money allocated toward them.
All right, thank you very much, Claire.
Thanks, Joe.